Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome. It's now time for the featured bout of the evening. From the four corners of the world, to the four corners of this ring, the fight starts now!
And what a week of sunshine we have had in the world's capital from wherever you're watching around the world. Welcome to the Motorpoint Arena. It is crunch time for the former British and Commonwealth Super Featherweight champion Joe Cordina, who has a huge opportunity in his home city to become world champion tonight against the IBF Super Featherweight title holder Kenichi Ogawa. Chris Lloyd here for Before the Bell, alongside former world champions Darren Barker and our good friend Barry Jones. Pleasure to have you. We're in that nice staggered formation. No one lean back or forward, please. We've got 5 fights coming up on Before the Bell, but just ahead of, ahead of the main event tonight, Barry, is one of the 12 world champions in the sport's history. How important is this, not just for Joe Cordina tonight, but for the momentum of Welsh boxing that he gets the win later?
In the early 90s, he brought boxing back to Wales, and then we had Joe Calzaghe, of course. He won it in 97, but really the 2000s was his prime when he brought boxing back to Wales again. And now we've had a little bit of a void. We had Nathan Cleverly tried to do it, McAnally, but it hasn't been consistent. Now it's been a long time since those guys, and we need a star to push. We have a lot of talent in Wales. We always have had, but we need the flag bearer, we need the pole bearer to bring it back to Cardiff, back to Wales, where we can get on big shows and we can show what we can do. It's
been 4 years since Lee Selby's reign as featherweight world champion ended. He, of course, retired 6 weeks ago. Everybody really looking to Cordina to carry the torch now. You've known him for a long time, Joe, and of course he is trained by your old trainer, Tony Sims. He's going to have to show something a little bit more than what he's shown so far tonight, isn't he?
Oh, absolutely, and I think when you're in a fight of this magnitude, you have to. You're going to be taken to places that you've never been to before. So the requirement to be a world champion is to pass those, you know, those tests. For me, at the weigh-in, I was so impressed by the turnout. So you talk about there being the new star, the next star. This city is looking for the next star. There's a fan base here. They want somebody to come through and shine. So I think the future for Welsh boxing is very bright. If Joe was to go and win this, great.
No pressure then.
I'm glad you said the city, because it's a big thing for Welsh boxing, but I'm a Cardiff boy, so for me it's deeper than just the Welsh. It's for the city, and like, we need a big star in the city. We've underperformed as a city. We've had some fantastic fighters but not got over the line. Now with Joe we have a real talent.
Yeah, we certainly do, and he can inspire the next generation of youngsters coming through, and a few of them are on the undercard here on Before the Bell. Monique Bucks, Ben Crocker, Joe Morgan, Kieran Jones, and Bertley's Callum French from Newcastle. We'll all be looking to the main event a little bit later on, an all-in test this evening coming up very, very shortly indeed, right here from the Motorpoint Arena in Cardiff. And well, Monique Bucks and Esther Connection are ready to ring walk for the first contest of the evening. We'll hand you over, without further ado, to our Master of Ceremonies this evening, Mr. David Diamante.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the Motorpoint Arena here in Cardiff, Wales. We are live on Dazn for a big night of World Championship professional boxing. We begin tonight with a 4-round affair in the super middleweight division. Please welcome her as she enters the arena from the Czech Republic, Esther Konecna.
Esther Konecna, the first fighter making her way to the ring here in Cardiff. She was out against April Hunter 8 weeks ago. Hunter, of course, on the rebuild with Peter Fury after a first career defeat to Kirsty Babington. Konecna, she's quite fleet-footed, upright, busy with the jab. She's big as well, 6'1", very hittable though, but keeps herself on the move, makes herself an ungainly, an awkward target. The only fighter to have stopped her is the excellent Savannah Marshall, who, like Monique Bucks tonight, has that long, languid, relaxed style. got her out there in a couple of rounds. Her power and precision were too much, but she has been in with some good fighters who haven't put a dent in her. Aileen Sederuz, Franchon Cruz, Dazn, Hannah Rankin as well.
And now entering the arena, making her first ring walk as a professional from Wales, please welcome Buxy Monique Bucks.
Well, just a couple of weeks' notice for Monique Bucks, who's making her debut tonight. Bucks has been in and around boxing gyms for the best part of a decade and a half. Started boxing at the age of 11, 12, but just felt a little bit closed off in terms of women's opportunities, especially at her weight. There aren't many worldwide at super middleweight, let alone nationally. And she played football at a high level too, and has returned to the boxing scene under the tutelage of Tony Borg, and she wants to make her imprint in the super middleweight division, and it all starts here in Cardiff, her home city tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, good evening and welcome to the Motor Point Arena here in Cardiff, Wales. It is Jubilee weekend and we are live on Dazn for a big night of World Championship professional boxing. It's all being brought to you courtesy of Mr. Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing. We're sponsored by Betfred and JD Sports. All of tonight's bouts are sanctioned under the auspices of the British Boxing Board of Control. The steward in charge is Mr. Ron Pavitt. Introducing your third person in the ring at the sound of the bell, from Bridge End, scoring referee Reese Carter. And now, ladies and gentlemen, 4 rounds of boxing scheduled in the super middleweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner, wearing the black trunks with the white trim. She's scaled 11 stone, 6 pounds at 9 ounces. She's a 17-fight veteran, fighting out of Ostrava, Czech Republic, Esther Konecna. And her opponent across the ring, fighting out of the blue corner. She wears the pink, white, and green. She's scaled 11 stone, 13 pounds at 1 ounce. Tonight, she makes her much anticipated professional debut, fighting out of Wales. This is Buxy Monique Bucks. Bucks.
Okay, ladies, you're professionals, you know the rules. Keep it clean, listen to my instructions. You must defend yourself at all times. Good luck, shake hands.
So the professional debut of a popular lady in Cardiff, Monique Bucks. Final instructions there just from Tony Borg, her coach, in the corner. 4 rounds to kick us off in the super middleweight division. If you're just joining us, Chris Lloyd here alongside Darren Barker and Barry Jones. Doesn't get much better than that, does it? Unless you take me out of the equation, which we will do in a couple of fights' time. And, well, Bucks, speaking to her early on in the week, Barry, a Cardiff girl, and plenty of kickboxing experience, boxing experience, and she had a conversation with Tony Borg and said, don't lie to me. If you don't think I'm good enough, I won't turn over. And he said, no, I think you've got what it takes. And he's a man that's been around the sport a long time.
He is, and he's diligent with his work, is Tony Borg, so he'll, if one thing, Bucks will be ready. She'll be ready. She'll be fit enough, strong enough, and technically good enough that he'll feel that she can make that step into the pro ranks. But like in anyone's debut, everyone will say the same thing. It's about just keeping your composure, not getting too carried away, painting by numbers, if you will, within the boxing, just to get comfortable in the round, the fight, and work your way into it.
Just holding centering at the moment. Konecna tends to move pretty fleet-footed for somebody around the 6 foot mark, and she is busy with that lead left hand, but down she's quite upright and susceptible to the straight shots. She is there to be hit.
Yeah, and she's circling to her left constantly. She's going to walk onto that right hand of Bucks. There she goes. She's moving to her right now, which she needs to do. But Bucks, like Barry said there, she's not getting too carried away. She'll be eager to impress, but there's good front foot pressure from Bucks, but she does carry her chin a little high. She needs to take her chin down, but she's working nicely.
Right hand from Konecna, just chopped down on it there, but Bucks again holding centering, just leaning back and, as you say, just lifting up a little tool there, Bucks. And part of the apprenticeship and the learning phase.
Well, what Bucks is doing, she's leaning back, but she's not taking a little step with the back foot, so you're just off balance, and also you're not going anywhere really. You got to, when you do take that little lean back, you got to take that back foot with you. gives you a little bit of space, and also you're on a good footing to fire back with something solid.
Decent start this from KENICHI. She rounds a 1-2 as she steps in. End of round 1 in the books. And that was a landmark year for women's boxing in Wales last year. Lauren Price, of course, flipped the script. Was probably the boxer of the tournament at the Olympics in Tokyo. Absolutely walked to the gold. Makes her pro debut next weekend. Rosie Eccles going well in the amateurs too. But depth of field in the women's boxing here in Wales is, well, in her weight division, almost non-existent. She turned up to the amateur nationals a couple of times and won by virtue of walkover. And, well, it's all very well having those titles in the books, but you need the experience. And so she is aware she's going to have to learn on the job here.
No, she is, and I think she started off really positively. You know, she was on the front foot, she was trying to use the jab, but I think the nerves got the better of her because she seemed to just drain of energy, didn't she, in the last sort of like 30 seconds of the round. I wonder whether that's just a little bit of nervous energy running through her body.
I think exactly what you said as well. She's not bringing her feet out. She's just basically standing bolt upright, and someone like KENICHI with the movement, she's all wrong for bucks, so she needs to just bring the feet out.
So into the second we go. What instructions were administered to her by Tony Boyle? KENICHI would have taken a little bit from that opening round. Scheduled third 4, remember, but she's dropping her height a little bit there and just creeping in with the feet, trying to work behind the jab. She's got long, rangy puncher, just looking for the right hand a little bit too much there.
She's headhunting an awful lot, Bucks. She needs to get that jab to the body, work downstairs and bring the shots back upstairs. Looks a little bit too predictable at the minute, but I do like the aggression on the front foot. It's just that lean back with the chin up in the air. She's got to be careful. You see it again there. She managed to avoid the overhand right from KENICHI, but she takes one there just as I was applauding her for avoiding the shot. But yeah, it's just those feet at the minute. She's not bringing them out.
That was a better right hand for her there. The one from Bucks, she's a little dip of the legs, like a feint to the body, and then coming over with the right hand.
Whips a left hook over the top as well. KENICHI just hangs on. Halfway point of round number 2. Just looking for that 1-2, just smothered by the left-hander KENICHI. Again, just bustles her way in, just lands a cuffing right. Not a great deal in these, but she is scoring cuffing shots, the Czech fighter.
Just a little bit more variation from KENICHI. Bucks is she's headhunting an awful lot, wild with that right hand, KENICHI, but frustrating Bucks at the minute with this movement.
Again, it's the same mistake every time in this. She's putting herself in the right position. She's walking forward. She's working behind the jab. When she gets there, that lean back again. The feet, as you said, the feet are stationary, and she's just leaning over the back foot and getting caught every time with that right hand.
Into round 2, coming to a close, and it's been a competitive one this for Monique Bucks. That's it, KENICHI right in this.
I thought that was a good round there for KENICHI. I thought she did enough.
Yeah.
I thought that, as you were saying earlier, Darren, the variety was a little bit more, it was better, and even though Busk is forcing the pace, an output is minimal, I feel.
Well, you just see it there. There's a bit more variation with the work from KENICHI. Look, she said a right hand to the body, followed by a left hook, then she works back upstairs. And when you've got someone who's leaning back like Bucks, it's very easy to find the target. So look, there's little adjustments that she needs to make. I think using her feet, like you said, Barry, she can't bring them together. You've got to bring them out. She brings them in really well. So it's just a case of learning a bit more footwork drills.
But on a positive note, the jabs were working for her. She just needs to commit. If you just commit with the right hand, turn from the core, turn from the hips, and then that right hand flow right the way through. She puts this girl on the back foot, and she can just keep nicking the space, and being aggressive.
And she does do this, KENICHI, as April Hunter found out a few weeks ago. Makes itself awkward. Just little switches there, and tall, rangy, pulls back out a distance and always keeps on the move, which means it's kind of hard to get set against her. But she's the kind of opponent that Monique Bucks needs to beat and beat well, and it's been competitive through these first 2 rounds. Just steps in there. KENICHI just looks like she was rearranging a glove. Just tries to land a little hook on the switch.
Again, see KENICHI move into a left. Surprised that Bucks hasn't tried to set that right hand up, but I mean, you pointed it out, Chris, you know, she is learning on the job, so these are things that she'll learn as she's going along. You know, sort of the fundamentals. You can't go headhunting all the time. You can't be predictable with your work, and we've seen a fair bit of that from Bucks, and we've seen that an awful lot so far. The leaning back and getting caught with silly shots when she's just bringing her feet out or moving her head side to side, not backwards. But like we said, can't be too harsh on her. She is learning all the time. Takes a left hook from Cordina there.
Well, Cordina, it just looks like she's getting into some kind of rhythm here, just making a miss on the ropes, catching her with shots on the exit. Bucks just closed her down there.
What you find, you don't know until you've had a big experience, is what you do after you throw a punch is almost as important as the punch thrown itself. So, and I think that's where Bucks is getting caught. She throws the shot, and sometimes she has success, sometimes she doesn't, but she doesn't move. There's no angle after that, and then that's why she is getting caught. But I think they're minor, as Dan said, they're minor adjustments that will make a massive impact.
Again, just the right hand whistles past as Konietzka just peels off to her left-hand side, 10 seconds in this penultimate round. And again, nice overhand right from the Czech fighter. She's had a good third round here.
This.
She's starting to dig away here and put some pressure on Monique Bucks, who's just body language has changed a little as she goes back to that corner with Tony Borg. Short notice, this is her debut, remember. Limited amateur experience, just 5 or 6 in the unpaid code, and, well, just walked into that right hand time and time again there, Barry.
Yeah, and it's predictable, but the problem is when you don't have the depth of an amateur experience, you can't, when you're in it, you can't see it. So, but when you've learned your trade in the amateurs, your vision's better. You're over, you understand you're getting caught, so you see the mistake and you rectify it. Whether it is from running away or just adjusting your feet, or the best thing, just keeping your hands up. But you don't know that when you're learning on the job. And without that amateur pedigree of any level, it's almost impossible to be able to read a fight.
Well, exactly what you said, Barry. The art of boxing is to hit and not be hit.
It's,
well, you're a genius. You're an absolute genius, Bazza. But it is. The art of boxing is to hit and not be hit. It's what you do after you've thrown the shot and landed the shot is the important part.
So into the 4th round now, and Monique Bucks may sense that she needs to put a dent in Esther Konietzka here, and the away fighter will know that she's put in a really good performance so far. She won't be expecting to get the decision because she doesn't tend to, really. She is an away corner fighter, but she will know that she's done really, really well here. She's letting the hands go, pushing Monique Bucks back here. Right hand doubles it up too, triples it, pushing her back into the corner. And does she sense a big upset here? She lets the hands go up close. Monique Bucks having to tuck up.
It's far too easy, this, for Cordina. She cannot miss with that right hand. Every time she throws it, look, she's bolt upright. Bucks, she needs to get out this corner. She's got to move. She's got to get her hands up.
And she knows as well, if she misses with the first shot, she just keeps throwing and keep walking forward, that there's no movement. So she's right on target every time with the shot.
Difficult night this for Monique Bucks. She's pressed against the ropes, trying to fight her way off, find an exit here, but Konietzka has boxed the first minute of this 4th round. And she will sense that she's in front and wants to put a punctuation on it, and she does with a big right hand, just rocks Monique Bucks back onto the ropes.
You can hear Tony Borg in the corner screaming hands up, but I think that's something that probably should have been worked on before the fight, because that's been lacking from the offset. That's a good right hand again there.
There just isn't enough spice behind these shots to put her over, but she's been hit clean time and time again, but she digs away bravely. Surely Konietzka in the ascendancy over these last 3 rounds since a competitive opener. She must sense that she will be victorious if this one goes to points. Just under 15 seconds on the clock, chops away to the body again. There's the 10-second clapper. Bucks digging in, but again just caught tall. Right hands landing clean. And what a performance from Esther Konietzka. And well, for Bucks, she knew the risk she was taking on 2 weeks' notice, getting in the ring. Big stage as well, a lot of pressure on her, and maybe it just got to her tonight, Darren.
Well, it's just that amateur pedigree. It serves you so well in these kind of moments. And look, when you're having to learn on the job, it becomes very, very difficult. And for someone like Bucks, you know, if you're having a life and death with someone like Cordina, who, you know, a complete losing record, I hate to be too harsh, but sometimes, you know, boxing is something that you shouldn't be looking at, really. You know, it was a really tough night for her when, you know, not being too harsh on the opponent either. KENICHI isn't a winner. She's not there to win, and that was pretty comfortable for her.
Yeah, well, being a Welshman, I thought Bucks, you know, dominated everything really, and it was pretty conclusive. Yeah, listen, it's one of those things. You learn, you take that risk, you go forward, you see how it falls out. But I think there was only one winner, and unfortunately, it wasn't for Bucks.
Well, we will find out right now because Monique Bucks and Esther KENICHI are standing by with David Diamante.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 4 rounds here at the Motor Point Arena, we go to referee Reese Carter's scorecard. It reached 39-37 for your winner, Esther KENICHI.
Yeah, I think Monique Bucks knew then there was no surprise on her face, and Esther KENICHI gets her first win for quite some time.
Let's get a nice round of applause out here for Bucksy. Monique Bucks, please.
Takes her record to 2-15-1. And well, she just got the measure of her woman in that first round, Darren, and I think she just knew, I can win this fight, and I'm going to tonight.
Yeah, I mean, look, experience and just a bit of boxing know-how was the difference there. She was never really hurt or troubled by Bucks, who started the fight really positively on the front foot. It was good front foot aggression, but it wasn't long before KENICHI realised that every time she threw a shot, as Barry mentioned, she didn't bring her feet out. She was bolt upright, the chin was up in the air. She could not miss with that right hand, and yeah, it became a bit of a walk in the park. Look, I respect anybody, as most boxers do, that anybody who gets in the ring, they have a go, they're in there. It's the toughest sport in the world, but for me, there's too much for Bucks to have to learn at this early stage of her career.
She had, obviously there's lots of flaws and lots of things to work on, but what was noticeable for me is that in the first round she boxed really well, but I think I did say that the energy drained out of it in the last sort of 20-30 seconds of that first round, and I think the nerves maybe just consumed a little bit too much because she looked flat. And
like a big adrenaline dump.
Yeah, that's very well put there. And but and even though technically she made mistakes, but I think the fact that she had no energy in it to sort of counteract that, just to push forward, I think it was just the occasion we got too much for her, and she froze a little bit. But that's fine. Listen, you live and you learn.
You live and you learn, indeed. Next up, Ben Crocker and Evgeny Varzem are ready to do battle over 4 rounds in the welterweight division. David Diamante is ready to bring them to the ring.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are now set to go with a special welterweight attraction. Set to make his ring walk. Please welcome the money boy, Evgeny Varzem.
Well, from Stary Oskol, some 400 miles south of Moscow, 9 wins against 29 defeats, and well, he's been a busy boy against some very good prospects of late. He was comeback opponent for Liam Taylor after defeat to Varzem's countryman David Avanesian, the current European welterweight champion. He also got in with JJ Metcalf for his tune-up ahead of that brilliant win over Kerman Leharaga a few weeks ago, and he was stopped by Metcalf. He isn't stopped very often, and Metcalf was kind of halfway through camp and starting to fire on all cylinders. He did him to the body in the end, but he's a tough man. He knows his way around, and well, we talked about these Russians coming over. They are much better than their record suggests, and he will provide some resistance for Ben Crocker here tonight.
And now, please welcome the undefeated young charge from Swansea, Ben Crocker.
They're part of Gary Lockett's young stable. Ben Crocker, a multi-title amateur, numerous Welsh and Four Nations junior titles. He had 3 years out with a hand injury, had an operation, and was advised to go and see Gary Lockett by his old amateur coach at the Premier Club in Swansea. Hadn't boxed for 3 to 4 years until his debut in September, but he's been busy enough. Boxed 3 times since then, beat Naeem Ali on points. Second fight was against Sultan Ahmet, and he got rid of him in a couple of rounds and looked really good doing so. Good balance, can punch a bit, and all the underpinnings of a well-schooled amateur. Gary Lockett, I know, has quiet confidence in his young charge here.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Cardiff, Wales, live on Dazn, we are set to go with a special welterweight attraction. It's all being brought to you courtesy of Mr. Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing. We're sponsored by Betfred and JD Sports. Introducing your third man in the ring at the sound of the bell from Swansea, referee Chris Jones. And now, ladies and gentlemen, 4 rounds of boxing scheduled in the welterweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner, wearing the black trunks with multicolored trim. This 37-fight veteran scaled 10 stone, 11 pounds, 14 ounces. He fights out of Southampton by way of Story of Skull. Please welcome the money boy, Evgeny Dazn. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the blue corner. He wears the white trunks with the black trim and gold piping. He's scaled already 10 stone, 9 pounds, 12 ounces. His young professional record, thus far perfect, 3 fights, 3 victories, one of them coming by way of knockout. Fighting out of Swansea, introducing Ben Crocker.
Okay, obey my word of command at all times. Defend yourself at all times. Keep all your punches above the waist. Any questions, red? Any questions, blue? Touch gloves. Good luck, boys.
Well, Barry, I know you commentated on, I think, his second contest against Sultan Ahmet, and you mentioned it on the night. Big welterweight Ben Crocker, but so is the man opposite in Evgeny Dazn.
Round 1.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, but the thing with Crocker as well, he has a real solid jab, so everything behind it, you know, he pushes you back with it, and then he can work from that. So he's a nice, neat boxer, and good to watch, and it's a good addition to the bill, I should say.
Yeah, I've been impressed with what I've seen from Crocker. He's a rhythm fighter. He really does get into his groove early on. He works lovely behind that stiff jab. He's, I wouldn't really call him a combination puncher, but he's busy with the 1s and the 2s, always moving his head. Like I say, gets into a nice rhythm early on. And Dazn, like you said on the ring walk there, he's a lot better than his record suggests. And a couple of the Russians that are on this card are the same. They don't win off
Siesta, aren't they? And he knows
yeah, exactly.
There's a group of those Russians based in Southampton, and they're,
that's right.
They're drifting around here having a laugh, aren't they? Because they're really quality operators.
Yeah. They're very capable fighters. Dazn had 8 wins from 10 between 2016 and 2018, but decided to go on the road to earn his keep. As you mentioned, Barry, part of a group of fighters that Alcesta manages down in Southampton, and where you can just see tall but compact, shapes up well, knows exactly what he's doing. We saw him with Cyrus Pattinson. I think he's been out 7 or 8 times since then. That wasn't all that long ago either. And just the kind of test that Crocker needs early. Both of them just snapping around each other, battle of the jabs early in this first round.
You've got your stamp your authority early on against Dazn. All of these top guys that he's fought, Metcalf, Patson, like you say, held the centre of the ring, pushed him back with their jabs, and they were the boss early on, and that's what you've got to do. If you let someone like Dazn into the contest, he's a very hard man to beat, but that was good work from Crocker. He took a little step back through the right uppercut, followed it up with a left hook. Nice, tidy boxing. Doesn't waste much at all, Ben Crocker.
But he's quite upright, Crocker. He looks upright and straight, but actually he rolls those shoulders quite well, so the head moves side to side. So he's not as easy to hit as it first seems. But what's good about him is he turns from the hips with every shot, so every shot punches right through the target. And even if it's not a knockout punch, you feel every punch that he throws.
Done his research, just raked a right hand under the elbow there. Metcalf hurt. Dazn to the body, stiff right hand downstairs again. Crocker just starting to inch forward and hold centre ring, just slowly but surely, just pushing Dazn back. It's been a patient, compact start from both men. Nice little counter hook there as the Russians step to him.
Good variation there. Say he's got a combination puncher. That was beautiful. That was 4-punch combination, 2 to the head, 2 to the body, changing the levels. Good work.
Yeah, it was, it's just that little injection of pace that you need sometimes to just rattle off a combination. You said that he's not a combination puncher, but that little change of speed there. Nice little finish and a lovely first round there from Crocker.
Yeah, Gary Lockett will be happy with his man that's listening in.
Patrzysz mnie,
Yeah, it was a nice, tidy start from Crocker. Held the centre ring, worked behind that lovely stiff jab. We see some good variation as well. He would pop into the body, 2 hooks to the body, followed by 2 straight shots upstairs, keeping Varzim thinking all the time. Body shots are key also against Varzim to slow him down, take the wind out of those sails. Yeah, good positive start.
And when Varzim did throw back, Crocker was immediately firing back with a counter, just again to keep him in his place, keep him where he is, and that means, as you said, Darren, he's dominating that space then.
So into the second round we go here at the Motorpoint Arena in Cardiff. KENICHI OGAWA and Joe Cordina will be contesting the IBF Super Featherweight title in our main event later on tonight on Dazn. Plenty of action to come before now and then. Jab to the body there.
Don't think it'll be too long till we start seeing the right hand of Ben Crocker come over the jab of Varzim, who doesn't carry the same sort of speed as Crocker.
I was just thinking the same sort of thing. I was thinking if Crocker throws a jab to the head, jab to the body, then fires that right hand, yeah, it sort of brings that lead there because he dips low for it, and then fires that right hand over the top.
It's a shot you always look for if you're in there with somebody that isn't quite as fast as you, and they start pouring that jab out, the right hand over the top was always the shot I'd look for. And you see Crocker now, he's starting to tee it up slightly.
Taking a right hand and a left hook clean in this contest so far. Crocker in the last minute or so, just assessing his man. He knows he's comfortable. Uppercut, then a left hook. That's what he hurt Ahmet with early on in their contest as well. But Varzim made of sturdier stuff, though he hangs on.
It's good from Crocker. As soon as he thought he heard Varzim, he jumped straight on him, didn't he? Straight away.
Had some success with that overhand right, the Russian. Just fell over the front foot there, but just earlier on in the round, he stepped in with a double jab, the good overhand right, so he's got to beware of that shot, Crocker.
It's better from Crocker. Nice little jittery movements, little feint before he throws. And again, you just want to keep changing up all the time, don't you? Just so he can read your attacks. Solid shots out there.
Yeah, starting to really put the hands together now. Test of Evgeny Varzim out with Russian, just inches forwards, keeps the hands high and tight, chin down. He felt the power of Ben Crocker in the first couple of minutes of round number 2. Just jabs his way in. Crocker, left hand slides over the top, looks for that counter left hook, but Varzim firing with him, just the kind of opponent that you need. And well, you can see why he's got so much work, Darren, because there are a lot of top prospects between 147 and 154, 160, and that's where he operates. Because he's tall and because he's well conditioned and he's boxing regularly, he can hang with these guys, but he gives as good as he gets.
Oh, he does. He's a very good opponent, Chris. You're right. He always plays his part. He's not easy to beat. Like I say, if you don't put him in his place early on, he's a very tough man to beat. Very fit, always in good shape.
Let's go.
Can do 4, 6, even 8 rounds. But it's been positive from Ben Crocker. Worked nicely. A couple of right hands he's taken from the Russian, but otherwise, good head movement. You see there, showing us a bit of everything. Good variation with the jab, the body shots.
I think Crocker will start putting his punches together now, I'd feel. 1, 2, and 2s and 3s. Just to rattle him off, take a little step to the side. You can go again there from a different angle.
Yeah, it was good work again from Crocker, showing us variation, good right to the body there. Always keeping Varzim thinking. There was a couple of good shots from the Russian, notably that right hand over the top, but generally the work from Crocker was nice, showing us a bit of everything, and as you say, Barry, just starting to go through the gears a little bit, push forward and making life very difficult for the Russian.
He is, but he's also, he's not putting his foot on the gas too much to wear. Every punch is solid with him, so he can't go too fast because he'll tire himself out. He's keeping his composure well, and with that then, it means he can see more, take his time more, and obviously produce better quality work. But I do think you're right. I think, you know, if he starts putting his punches together in smaller or more frequent combinations now, I think I'm not saying he'll get this guy out.
Oh, there's that right hand.
Lovely counter right hand. Dazn just pulled out of range. The left hand was in place, but the right got through. He smiles. He gets back to centre ring, but Crocker knows he landed clean. He would have felt the knuckles connect on that one.
That's the shot, Chris. It's that right hand over the top, and you just don't carry the same sort of speed as your opponent. It's always difficult, and you're always going to be a sucker to that shot. He just poured the jab out, and a lovely right hand over the top.
You just hear the extra spice he's putting on these shots in the follow-up, just seeing how Dazn is. He's pretty sturdy upstairs. As I mentioned, Metcalf got him out to the body. He's never really looked too bothered on the whiskers, but it's a good shot there from Crocker. Lovely right hand lands again.
Just taking his feet off the floor there, Crocker, just to reduce a little bit of power. But the thing that he's trying to get around the target, which is a good idea, but just needs to slide the feet rather than jump.
Head movement there from Crocker, just dropping under the left hand as they come together here. Minute 40 on the clock in round number 3.
Yeah, I've been impressed with Crocker. Very composed performance so far. Not really put a foot wrong.
And you want somebody like this on the way up when you've had a good amateur background, someone you can box with, someone you know is going to fire back, and you have to manufacture openings, but not somebody that's just going to tuck up and try to survive. Dazn is exactly what every young prospect in Crocker's kind of position would want, is having to think his way through this, and if he is lazy, he gets tagged like that with the right hand over the top.
You don't want to be given that false sense of security when you're a boxer. Early on in your career, anyway, if you're having things your own way and it's very comfortable, it doesn't do you any favours. You need a guy like Dazn who's tough, fit, and always trying to look to win.
You need to be, you need to pay for your mistakes. Ultimately, you don't want to be put to sleep. You need to pay for your mistakes at this level now. So when you step up to the level when you do pay for mistakes, you're finished. You learn from it.
And he has been made to pay just on a couple of occasions, Crocker, reminded that he isn't going to have this all his own way, though he is in charge here. On a jab through the centre of the guard from Dazn. Crocker returns it with interest. Really good scrap this through 3 rounds. And I tell you what, Ben Crocker, we knew he was a ticket seller. He's bought a good pocket of fans here on late notice, and they are in really good voice.
Trying to work out what they were singing. I think they were saying, Eddie, sign him up.
He's paid them a little bit extra, isn't he? Another good round of action as the third comes to a close. Just right uppercut to the midsection there. Joe Morgan up next against Rustem Fatkulin, another one of the Russians based in the UK. And they are in good voice, especially for 20 past 5. Bank holiday weekend, though.
Seconds.
Imagine it's been a long one for them, and we've got a long night ahead of us here in Cardiff.
Seconds out, 4th and final round.
Gamal Yafai, Sky Nicholson, Dalton Smith, Alpha Barrett, Joe Cordina and Kenichi Ogawa all in action later on tonight live on Dazn, starting at 7 o'clock local time.
Yeah, I've seen all sorts walking around Cardiff the last couple of days.
Oh, calm down now, calm down.
I've seen Batman, I've seen Superman, I've seen Incredible Hulk, and I've seen Barry Jones.
It's a big weekend, isn't it, for Welsh sport? Obviously, with the football tomorrow. And
of course it is.
Good shot there from Crocker.
Wales and Ukraine tomorrow as Crocker starts to put his hands together, testing the resolve of Evgeny Dazn. Blood from the nose of the Russian here.
Yeah, he's as tough as old boots, Dazn. He really is.
But it's good to see that Crocker knows that. He's loading on him, but he's also realising that if I put my foot on the gas here now, I'm not going to have a massive effect, but I'm going to run out of steam. So he's letting the punches go, he's having the effect, he's scoring the shots, he's trying to hurt him, but he's not emptying the tank and gambling.
Yeah, very disciplined display. He's not got greedy, has he, Barry? He's been smart, selective with his shots, good variation.
I tell you something though, that right hand in the previous round, that Crocker got caught with, I don't think we give it enough credit. I think it was a really hard shot. I think he dipped the leg slightly.
Yeah, giving it food for thought, certainly. He just holds that gap behind the left hand. Drops his head in, gets safe. So he just creep past the midway point of this final round. Left hook off the jab upstairs. Dazn, blood now pouring from the nose and the mouth. He knows he's been in a fight here, but he really has given a good account of himself as well. Crocker started to sit down on the shots in this final round. Is he just gathering himself for one last rally? Right hand under the elbow. Keeps the hands tight for the left hook return.
I think this is the best I've seen of Crocker so far. I always give Dazn credit as an opponent, but I was saying beforehand, what I'd seen him in before, very busy with the ones and the twos, but wasn't really noted for putting his shots together. But in this contest here, we've seen so much variation. We've seen speed, we've seen power, we've seen brilliant shot selection. Takes the right hand there from Dazn, but generally it's been a really, really good performance and something you can really build from.
But you know what, he's been caught with a couple of big right hands, and I think when they look back to camp, they won't be happy with it. But it's a clear sign of what you need to do. So you'll see that and go, right, it's just an obvious mistake we're making there, and it's something you can rectify.
Yeah, exactly. When you're stepping through the classes, you can't afford to be taking these sort of shots. So you go back to the drawing board. Yes, good performance, but I was shipping a little bit too much for that right hand, and make sure you don't do it next time. But positive stuff, an awful lot to work with.
Yeah, he's been good. I think you said the composure is the key. I think he's been so composed, relaxed, disciplined.
It's the end of the round, the end of the contest, and Ben Crocker knows he's home and dry, but a really good test for him, as always, from Evgeny Dazn. And well, circuit fighters like him, almost a disservice to call them journeyman, because he is more than that. He just offers so much in preparing these young prospects for the kind of test that they hope to face later on in their careers. But Ben Crocker was in charge from the start, Darren. He worked his way to centering, put the shots together, and as the fight wore on, you just felt that he was the boss, even though things were coming back and Dazn was firing with him. Yeah,
you know, you touched on the decent opponents that have beaten Dazn in the past, and what they'd done was put him in his place. They were the boss early on, and that's exactly what Ben Crocker done. You know, he showed Dazn early that he was the boss, worked behind that beautiful stiff jab, and started to turn the screw as the fight progressed. It was really, really good variation, like I say. Wasn't expecting to see as many body shots coming from Crocker, but it's really, really good work.
Okay, fighters are at centre ring. David Diamante has the scorecard, so let's hand over to him.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 4 rounds here in Cardiff, Wales, we go to referee Chris Jones' scorecard. It reads 40-36 for your winner, Ben Crocker.
Yeah, really good fight that. Ben Crocker moves to 4-0. I think from the eye test and for the last couple of contests we've seen of him, he's got the makings of a really good domestic fighter in the welterweight division. And Barry, no doubt, Gary Lockett will be happy with his man tonight as well.
I think he'd be very happy. I think, you know, there was a few things there that, to be really critical, you go, actually, there's obvious mistakes, which you almost want, you're not getting hurt, you want to see that. So you go, we can work on that, you can show him that when they get back to camp for the next fight. But also, I think his work ethic was pretty good, his concentration was good, every punch was solid. And as Darren said, he started to work the body as the fight went on, and he never panicked under any sort of pressure or didn't get frustrated when he couldn't make a dent in him. You know, for your 4th fight, man, it's only his 4th fight. I think that's, and he's only a young man. I think that's really impressive.
Yeah, the variation was brilliant. He was never predictable. You know, always giving Dazn credit, because if you are predictable with someone like him, he'll suss you out, he'll know, and he'll find the opportunities. But Ben Crocker didn't allow that. He was very smart, and in between the punches, he was busy with his non-punching activity, moving his head, plenty of feints, putting Dazn where he wanted. So, yeah, very good performance, and onwards and upwards for Ben Crocker.
Onwards and upwards indeed. He moves to 4-0 here in Cardiff tonight. Next up, another young Welsh lad, Joe Morgan, in action. He's ready to ring walk. Let's hand you back over to David Diamante.
Ladies and gentlemen, the next contest, 4 rounds in the super lightweight division. Set to make his ring walk, please welcome Rustam Fatkulin.
From Ufa, Western Russia, north of the Kazakh border, another classic example of a fighter whose record belies his ability. He's 8-32 now. And well, I've got banks of notes on fighters that, as you know, Darren, I keep updated. And when he boxed Callum French, he was 8-16. So when he was listed as 8-32, I thought somebody's got that wrong. He only boxed in December. But no, he's had 15 fights since then. Already booked in for July as well. What a man he is. And well, you'll see, if you haven't watched him before, yet another fighter from Russia who knows his way around, and will be asking questions of young Joe Morgan here tonight.
And now, entering the arena, here is the undefeated young fighter from Aberdare, Joe Morgan.
A very young man, Joe Morgan, just 20 years of age, from Merthyr Tydfil, same place as Gavin Gwynn, who fought tonight's main event to Joe Cordina about 3 years ago for the British and Commonwealth titles. And Morgan has been sparring Gwynn at St Joseph's ABC in Newport. Taking short notice for this, about 3 weeks to get ready, but stays in the gym. He's a 5-time national amateur champion, been boxing since 9 years of age. 3 international box cut titles, got a good pro style that suits him a little more than the amateurs. And he's new to the game, and this will be a solid test for the Welshman tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the Motorpoint Arena here in Cardiff, Wales, live on Dazn, we are set to go with a special super lightweight attraction. It's all being brought to you courtesy of Mr. Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing. We're sponsored by Betfred and JD Sports. Introducing your third man in the ring at the sound of the bell, scoring referee from Swansea, Chris Jones. And now, ladies and gentlemen, 4 rounds of boxing scheduled in the super lightweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner in the black trunks with the silver trim. He scaled 10 stone, 4 pounds, 5 ounces. This 39-fight veteran fights out of Southampton by way of Ufa. Please welcome Rustam Fatkulin. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the blue corner. He wears the blue trunks with the white trim. He scaled 10 stone, 3 pounds, 11 ounces. His young professional record, thus far perfect, 3 fights, 3 victories, 1 of them coming by way of knockout. Fighting out of Aberdare, Wales, introducing Joe Morgan.
Okay, obey my word of command at all times. Defend yourself at all times. Keep all your punches above the waist. Any questions, red? Any questions, blue? Touch gloves. Good luck, boys.
No messing about from the referee there. 4 rounds scheduled in the super lightweight division. Now, this was made at 145 pounds. Should just call it welterweight, really, shouldn't they? But both made the agreed weights on the scales yesterday. Rustam Fatkulin from Russia in the black trunks with the silver trim, and the home fighter Joe Morgan in blue and white.
It's a good fighter, Joe Morgan. I like what I've seen. Busy behind the jab, really quick hands, good reactions, always moving his head, keeping his opponent thinking. Fatkulin, like you say, he's another one of those Russians who's better than the record suggests. He likes to be busy, he likes to control distance behind the lead hand, always sort of poking it out. Definitely a fighter that, if allowed to get into a rhythm, he's a tough man to beat. You see there, he always loads up with the right hand, brings his feet in, moves his head afterwards. does always look like he can carry a bit of power for Coolin. So Joe Morgan's going to have to stay switched on. And that's another shot that I've been impressed with Joe Morgan, watching his previous fights. He loves to drop that left to the body, under the elbow of his opponents. Looks a really helpful shot.
But you still tend to think the jab is going to be Oscar right hand there for Morgan. The jab's going to be the key for him, because Fakulin likes to jump in the distance, so if you can keep him at the end of that jab, every time he makes a little feint, blinks, anything, you pop him with that jab, that makes him have to go and reset, keeps him at the distance you want him at.
Yeah, you can see already just winging him with a couple of wild hooks. Fakulin, big overhand right, then a left.
I think Morgan might have hurt Fakulin then with the shot
be right.
on top of the head.
Just trying to see what the legs look like as referee separates them.
I like the shot he's looking for as well, Morgan. He's taking that quick step back and trying to look for the right uppercut for Fakulin. When he does load up with that right hand, he can sometimes fall over the front foot. You can see he's looking for it, followed up with a left hook there.
Uppercut through the middle, then the left behind it. Good work on the counter from Morgan on the back foot.
It got the feel that someone's going to make a mistake here, doesn't it? And get pinged a little bit.
Fakulin just looking to punch with him.
Good right hand there
on the
from
turn.
Morgan.
Yeah, was indeed. Launching in with that big left hook. Fakulin just keeping the hands tight, but just caught with his chopping right hand as he stepped into range.
Just got to be careful, Morgan, because he brings that right foot forward when he throws that right hand. Just doesn't square too much, but he's getting too close to the target, so you don't need to get close. You've got those long reach, you turn from the waist, and you keep everything nice and long, and make him close the gap.
You see what Fakulin's trying to do as well. He's trying to nullify the threat of Morgan. He's trying to bring his feet, and he's trying to close the gap to stop the work from Morgan coming in.
Yeah, closer it is safer for him. He's either well out of range or shutting that space down nice and quickly. Interesting tactical one developing here in the first round. Well, there is Gamal Yafai, the former Commonwealth and European Super Bantamweight champion. Lost his title to the excellent Jason Cunningham in a career worst performance last year, and he really has beaten himself up about that. It's been a difficult period of self-reflection for him, and he is back in action tonight alongside one of the rising stars of British and, well, I think at this point we can say world boxing. 140-pound prospect turned contender, looking cool as they come in Dalton Smith, who will fight for the British title a little bit later on this year, and well, very hard to look past him as the British champion incumbent at this point, isn't it?
Very, very, very good fight. Big fan of Dalton Smith. He's a lovely lad outside of the ring, but inside of the ring, he's a beast. He really is.
Let's just talk about Dalton for a second. His vision is fantastic, isn't it? He's balanced everything about him. You look at some fighters, you think you're good, but you look at him, you just think he's got that X factor.
He just knows where to be in the ring. He knows what shot to throw at the right time. Very rarely makes a mistake, and one of those where it's very, I think matchmaking, we said it in the week, Chris, you know, matchmaking's key for Dalton Smith, because you can really push him forward now. He's that good.
Well, he's got a good matchmaker in his manager, Paul Reddy, who was the matchmaker for Match and Boxing for a number of years. Of course, the boss at STN Sports alongside Sean O'Toole. They've got a good stable of young fighters, Sky Nicholson included. She'll be on the bill as well tonight too. Joe Morgan in a decent scrap here in round number 2.
He's in a fight. He's in a fight, isn't he? Sorry, Barry. He's in a fight here, Joe Morgan. And we see it at the end of the first round. We can see that Fakulin's sort of tactic is to nullify the threat of Morgan by getting really close. And in doing so, he's in range. So he's looking for that overround right. So he's got to be switched on Morgan. He can't afford to be pushed back and bullied by Fakulin. He's got to be smart with his movement.
I think he's boxing really well, Morgan, actually, but it's just every time he throws that right hand, he brings his foot forward, and that allows Fakulin then to get involved. It shortens the distance. Except for doing that, the boxing's good. He's moving around the ring, gives himself a bit of space. But as you say, once he allows Fakulin to get close, then it makes it competitive.
screw shot there, just off the 1-2. And Morgan Fakulin just holding his feet, keeping the hands tight.
That's the shot. I was about to say, it seems like he's neglected that right uppercut, but that was a beautifully well-timed shot as Fakulin fell over that front foot.
Just a little nick of blood, perhaps, just by the corner of the left eye of the Russian.
That was good from Morgan as well there. Fakulin tried to turn him, he just turned him straight away, then he just went with him. I think he's boxing well, I do, Morgan.
20 years of age, of course, a number of years away from what you'd assume it will be his physical prime, and Fakulin very much in his fighting regularly against tough seasoned pros.
3 lovely single jabs there from Morgan, and that's what we were talking about earlier. Just keep Fakulin, just keep him in his place. He can't get past that jab then.
Yeah, he got him positioned exactly where he wanted, didn't he? That free jab pushed Fakulin onto the ropes. Been a really good second half of this round from Joe Morgan, positioning himself so well.
Right hand, left hook under the elbow to punctuate a really good competitive round.
Punch caused that. Punch.
Trains out of the same gym as Tony Dixon. Had that brilliant return to the ring after a couple of years out. Lost that very close split decision to Maxim Prodan just before the pandemic, and then was a big underdog against Francesco Russo in Rome in November. I think you were out there with us, weren't you? Down, he had his back to the ropes under some pressure early, and then landed a chopping right hand on the head of Russo, put him over, and returned with a knockout win in round number 1. That's Callum French. We just saw Kieran Jones a moment ago, preparing for their scraps. The next 2 on before the bell, before we head to the live feed on the zone at 7 o'clock local time here in Cardiff. Wherever you're watching around the world, welcome. Chris Lloyd here with Barry Jones and Darren Barker.
We've got the dream team this evening.
But I didn't get the stool to make us the same height, unfortunately.
Oh, you're sat there.
We put a cushion on there, boys.
I got the baby seat.
What a lovely right-hand counter there. Just glanced the head of Morgan. Took him off balance.
Yeah, he's looking to trade with Morgan Fakulin. So this is where you start using the feint, draw out the lead of your man and come back with a crisp, sharp counters. But getting good positioning in the ring from Joe Morgan. He spun his man, got him on the ropes, and been impressed with.
That roll was really nice actually, wasn't it? Roll underneath the right hand, just little pivot, and he was back in the centre of the ring.
Just forcing him back with the foot feints, and then just trying to step back and draw him onto something now, Joe Morgan.
Breaks!
Exactly what you've asked of him.
And I tell you, when anyone wants to take a punch off, yeah? Listen, when I say stop boxing, you stop boxing. Next I'll take punch off, okay?
The referee, if you didn't hear that warning for Fakulin, if he hits after the break again, or if he continues when he says stop boxing, we'll take a point off him.
Just needs to undo that a little bit more, Morgan. You know, when he throws that, when he's coming forward with the combination we've just seen there, it's all long. But when Fakulin comes forward, he doesn't take a step back with the back foot to give himself space to throw another shot. He throws it short, and that's when he gets sometimes involved in a little bit of a firefight. But apart from that, I think he's boxing really well.
Yeah, you'll learn a lot from this as well.
Starting to put a dent in Rustem Fakulin here, Joe Morgan, and he can punch. Only got 1 stoppage from 3, but if you watch the other 2 contests, you know he was pretty close to getting them out of there. You saw what happened when he was in against the first opponent who fired back in Stephen Floyd. That's the kind of telltale signs of what he may be capable of as a pro. Fakulin has certainly not been gun-shy in this contest, but as this contest has worn on, just signs that Joe Morgan is starting to take control of his man, pushing back and land the hurtful shots, and well, now he looks in control.
Yeah, it's a
lovely
good
right hand on the turn, just knocked Fakulin off balance, but it was a clean shot that caused the knockdown, Barry.
I can understand he wasn't hurt and he was off balance, but he still got caught with a shot.
Yeah.
So technically, it's a knockdown, isn't it?
Yeah, really good passage of boxing this from Joe Morgan. Boxing lovely, good footwork, in and out of range, not taking anything silly. Worked by that beautiful jab. You see there, just shifting out of range, making Fakulin fall short. That left to the body's been lovely as well. He throws a beautiful 1-2 to the head, drops it.
And he's found the range now with that right hand, hasn't he? He's keeping it nice, all the pose at the end of the shot, so he's keeping it long. And you're always pleased with that, don't you? When you see in a fight, they get better as the fight gets on. That means he's thinking about his work, his intelligence in his game plan.
And he looks like he has a read on his man now, just seeing more coming back. Runs up 1-2, and then the left hook just got round the side of the guard, slipped out of the way of the left hand, looked for his own. Now starting to put the shots together. Long right hand lands. Vakulin trying to fire with and misses with the right hand as the bell goes. Best round of the contest so far for Joe Morgan. And he looks in control. His dad Andrew, his coach, he's managed by Chris Sanagar now. They recently linked up. He was working with Pat Barrett on Black Flash Promotions until then. And well, that was the right hand that just caused the knockdown. As you say, he made him almost fall into range and almost fall over, just clipped him on the way down, Darren. But it was the punch that caused him to go down.
Certainly a punch landed. He was off balance, but that was a very, very good round for Joe Morgan there. Showed us a bit of everything. He showed us some toughness. He showed us some very good reactions and foot movement, and the shot selection was very impressive. That right uppercut, dropping that left to the body, been very, very eye-catching shots.
Ironically, the best thing he does is the double jab right hand when he's moving forward, because he keeps it all so long. And when you've got a tall guy, as I know nothing about, of course, Darren told me, you want to keep it on all the pose at the end of the shot. You don't want to shorten it and reduce that. You want to get right on the end of the punch where everything is.
That's quote of the year. When you're a tall guy, Barry Jones.
Also, I'm talking about power. I know nothing about that either.
Tell you what, Joe Morgan just landed at the same kind of cuffing right, just stepped across Vakulin as he stepped in, made him fall into space and clipped him with the same right hand that he knocked him over with in the last round, made him fall into the ropes there. Just a little bit of hesitancy now, maybe creeping into Vakulin, just hovering on the edge of punching range, but quite as willing to let his hands go as he was before, perhaps, Darren, I suppose, because he's starting to get tagged when he does so now.
Showed a lot of maturity for a 20-year-old Joe Morgan. He's not got greedy, he's not rushed in. Quite easy to get carried away when you're starting to measure your opponent.
Putting some spice on that left hand now. Yeah. Sign of confidence.
Some snapping now, wasn't there?
Absolutely was.
But it missed.
But it missed, and that's the crucial thing. You don't get points for hard punches that hit thin air. Just tags him with a short right hand and just trying to step his way back to centre ring, and he does so.
I think he's been fantastic. He's in with a guy here who can make it really uncomfortable for you. And I think as the round's gone on, this round's been tougher than the one before, but I think he's improved every so he's evolving in each round. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, he's made those little adjustments, Joe Morgan, showing us that maturity for a young lad.
Well, I'll tell you what, lads, we knew this was a shot window to the world for some of the young Welsh prospects that knew the opportunity ahead of them tonight, with Eddie Hearn watching ringside and an audience online now. And while two of them have performed really well so far, and Ben Crocker and Joe Morgan, just stepping back and holding the range and the distance with that jab, trying to just bait Vakulin into over-committing and countering him as he does so. Will Vakulin take the bait? The legs starting to slow now. Lovely combination punching from Morgan.
Really, and he's not rushing it either. You know, there's little gaps in the punches in there, but he's throwing right through the target, punching the fist behind the head almost. So he can afford to take a little gap in between each punch.
The defensive skills as well have been very impressive. To see how he exits off the ropes, just holding on here, but a moment ago he sort of slipped under a left hook, rolled out, and then he had Vakulin backed into the neutral corner. See where he's positioned in the ring now. Look, a moment ago he was backed into the red corner. Very, very intelligent stuff.
The wind now really looking like it's out of the sails of Vakulin. That's a little cheeky hook on the blind side of the referee, but he saw it.
I don't know about that. I think you've got to say Joe Morgan did it first, to be honest.
Just misses with the left hook there. Vakulin lands on the right hand. They both just stand and trade, and the Russian had the point deducted, wanted to go to war there, and just a little bit of afters and a little bit of back and forth in the middle of that round, as you mentioned, Barry.
Yeah, but to be honest, Morgan did the first. He punched behind his back, which you're not allowed to do that. So then Vakulin did exactly the same thing, because he wanted to be more with the referee only saw his mistake, of course, and then the warnings there. So you see why Fakuli wasn't very happy after that. Feel like he'd been, but regardless of that, I thought it was a fantastic performance.
Oh, there it was. Good spot, Barry. Yeah.
Well, no, it's not a good spot, Chris. It's right in front of us, mate. We're watching the fight.
It was behind his back. I didn't see it.
No, but listen, no, I don't want to criticise you, but no, we're here.
What was your favourite dirty trick, Barry?
I don't know what you're talking about, mate.
No dirty
I used to
tricks
throw
from
the
Barry
left
Jones.
hook and use my knee to hit that inside of their leg.
Okay, scorecards are ready. David Diamante's got them in hand, and there is finally a little bit of respect between Joe Morgan and Brewster Fakuli, and we're going to head to the scorecards. Let's hand over to David.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 4 rounds of boxing here in Cardiff, we go to referee Chris Jones's scorecard. It reads 40-35 for your winner. He's still undefeated, Joe Morgan.
Really good win and another workmanlike performance from a young Welsh prospect in Joe Morgan. His dad will be pleased with that. The father-son training pairing, we'll see another later in Dalton Smith, and of course one of the 12 Welsh boxing champions. Joe Calzaghe and Enzo achieved so much as a pairing throughout his 11-year reign and a decade and a half as a professional fighter. Is this another one in the making? There's a lot still to come, and that is the main card live on Dazn. Gamal Yafai, the former European Commonwealth Super Bantamweight champion, returns after losing his titles this time last year against the former area champion Sean Cairn. Sky Nicholson out in action for a 4th time in 91 days against former world champion Gabriela Bouvier. Dalton Smith, ahead of a British title challenge later on this year, is up against Mauro Peruene from Argentina. And then Farouk Korbanov and Zelfa Barrett will contest the European super featherweight title, and the winner will have their eyes firmly on our main event, which, if you need a reminding, Kenichi Ogawa, the IBF World Super Featherweight Champion from Tokyo, has made the journey to Cardiff tonight to face the hometown fighter, the challenger, the former European Amateur Champion, British and Commonwealth Champion too, Joe Cordina. And well, if you are watching online, welcome wherever you are. And if you haven't downloaded the Dazn app, it could not be simpler. Take a look at this.
You right, Dad? You just called me on a run, mate.
Go on, son. You're going to need it for the next fight. He's a big talent, this guy.
Hold on, Dad. I can't hear you.
I'm all set up to watch it on the zone. D-A-Z-N, the zone.
What were you saying?
Immense range.
I've got range, Dad.
Fights all around the world.
Listen, I'll fight anyone, anywhere, anytime.
Great highlights.
Highlights? I'll show you a reel of knockouts, mate.
And original stories.
Well, I'm writing my own story in a fight game, old boy.
Come on. Oh, well. Now let's have a look at this legends section.
The fight starts now!
Well, Conor Benn, one of the most improved fighters in the UK in the last 3 or 4 years, and a stablemate, good friend of Joe Cordina's. He's brought all of the lads with him tonight. How much will the pressure be affecting him when he ring walks, and how has he got to use those nerves tonight, Darren?
Well, I've seen him this afternoon, and if he is nervous, you wouldn't tell. Very relaxed, and look, we've said it, he probably hasn't had that big fight before the big fight. You know, but what he has done is served an amazing apprenticeship as an amateur, as a professional already. He hasn't put a foot wrong, and he's ready. I think he's mentally ready, physically ready. This is his moment. He's going to have to perform very, very well. He can't put a foot wrong, but so far, from what I'm getting from him, the vibes what I'm getting from him, I'm very impressed.
Okay.
I do think it's important that, you know, you talk about the ability and everything gets you over the line to win things, but how you cope with pressure. And good fighters and great fighters take that pressure and they harness it into a positive energy. And I don't know how some people could do it on a bigger stage. But Joe needs to be able to do that, and he has the demeanour of a guy who takes everything in his stride. I think that's a massive plus for the biggest night of his life.
Could be a defining characteristic of the main event live on Dazn later on tonight. Joe Cordina challenges Kenichi Ogawa for the IBF Super Featherweight World title. Right back here on Before the Bell, we are ready to roll on with the action. David Diamante is standing by.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Cardiff, Wales, we are set to go with a special middleweight attraction. Set to make his ring walk, please welcome Vasif Mamadov. Arena, here is a young, undefeated fighter from Terraboy, Hengoid, Kieran Jones.
Kieran Jones, a very good amateur, went to World Champs, Commonwealth Games as a junior, lost out to Stephen Connolly at the Commonwealth Games, 10 Welsh Association Championships, 4 Nations junior titles as well. Southpaw box puncher, good, sharp hitter. And there is Gary Lockett, second of his fighters out tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the Motor Point Arena here in Cardiff, Wales, live on Dazn, we are set to go with a special middleweight attraction. It's all being brought to you courtesy of Mr. Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing. We're sponsored by Betfred and JD Sports. Introducing your third man in the ring at the sound of the bell from Bridgend, scoring referee Reese Carter. And now, ladies and gentlemen, 4 rounds of boxing scheduled in the middleweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner, wearing the solid black trunks. He scaled 11 stone, 10 pounds at 3 ounces. This 21-fight veteran fights out of Southampton by way of Perm. Please welcome Vasif Mamadov. And his opponent across the ring fighting out of the blue corner. He wears the black with red and white trim. He scaled 11 stone, 9 pounds, 13 ounces. His young professional record thus far perfect. 3 fights, 3 victories, one of them coming by way of knockout. Fighting out of Terraboy, Hengoid, Wales, introducing Kieran Jones.
Okay, gentlemen, you're professionals, you know the rules. Keep it clean, listen to my instructions, and defend yourself at all times. Good luck, lads. Shake hands.
And another fighter under Gary Lockett's charge, who had a little bit of time out, 3 years with an elbow injury. The back end of the amateurs, he used to come down and spar at Lockett's gym. And like I said, it's taken the 2 or 3 fights they've had together for him to get what he describes as the old magic he remembered as an amateur back. And that's to be expected with that much time out. But he's a very exciting young prospect in, yet again, same story. Very, very tough, well-schooled Russian fighter based in the UK. And just lands a right hand there. Vasif Mamadov.
He looks so hard, doesn't he? Mamadov.
Yeah, I mean, he's been in with some really, really good fighters. Took Andre Sorokin the distance. Bakram Murtazaliev, the Russian contender, now based in Oxnard, California. He's 15 knockouts from 20 wins. Didn't stop this man, though.
He looks like a man who's just done a whole 14-hour shift on a building site.
He looks like a man who's eaten another man.
Oh, he's been hurt here, though.
He's a good fighter, Kieran Jones. Really, really good last time out against Stanko Jamelik. Dropped him 3 times. Really, really showing us that he's a good finisher. You can see it now. He feels he's got his man hurt. He's really, really biting down on the gum shield and letting his hands go and going through the gears.
It's the hand speed, isn't it, that's causing him trouble? You can't see it.
And he's a bit of a ticket seller as well. Gary Lockett was telling me, and you can hear the gathering support that he's brought with him, even at this early stage as we approach the 6 o'clock, about an hour before we go live on Dazn local time. Remember to download the app if you haven't done so already. Jones at the centre ring. He's measuring the distance with that jab, waiting for Mamadov to try and commit. Mamadov is patient though, seasoned.
But with Jones not committing with that front foot, he's always, like you say, he's always maintaining that distance. This guy can't get at him. He's keeping it all at long range, everything's behind that long jab, and he only comes forward once he lands with that right hand.
Seeing something different from Kieran Jones there. You don't see a lot, the foot feint. sort of stamping with that lead foot, trying to draw the reaction, trying to get or see something from Mamedov. Credit to the Russian, he didn't take the bait, didn't let his hands go, didn't fall forward.
Well, Mamedov's got to get lower. When you're the shorter fighter, get even lower, make it harder be a harder tiger to hit. Then you can roll underneath and close the gap.
Yeah, force him to punch down. Jones has made a really good start here, just starting to let the left hand go. A right hook just on the inside, up close that time, left hand behind it. Mamedov just escapes from the rope to get himself back to centre. Good spell though for the Welshman.
Picking the shots really, really well. Good variation. He throws some lovely lefts to the body with Mamedov.
Turned the knuckles over on that left hand, didn't he?
He really did.
Mamedov lunging across the ring. Jones just stepping around him.
Yeah, boxing really nicely there, Jones. Moving his feet out of range and landing a lovely short left hand, showing us bits of class in that first round. Mamedov not really having the answers. Like you said, Barry, he could use his height as an advantage if he was to dip those knees a little bit more, and he hasn't done that. And Kieran Jones has managed to find that left to the body numerous times, which he shouldn't really be able to do against a short fighter.
Let's not worry about that. You said boxing really well here, Jones. Brought back so many memories from watching my brother, not me, from watching my brother box.
I see you start smiling there. It was really nice.
Boxing really well here, Jones.
Round 2.
We'll call him Barry just for old time's sake.
Yeah, go on.
So Barry Jones, the tall southpaw at centre ring.
Oh, you have to spoil it with the tall jokes. But I would say we've had 3 prospects now. They've all been 3-0 with 1 knockout. And I was going to say the same thing here, like in the last 2 fights, is the maintaining the distance that's been so impressive with them. I think that discipline, and not all trained by the same guy, by the way. And I think it just shows the schooling that they have.
And Jones and Crawford, of course. Gary Lockett's fighters, Joe Morgan trained by his father Andrew. And penultimate contest, if you're just joining us here on Before the Bell, welcome from wherever you're watching around the country or indeed around the world. Chris Lloyd here with Barry Jones and Darren Barker. Lovely left hand there from Kieran Jones, just chopped it down. And Mamedov took it well, but he's been forced back here, has to tuck up. Has that hurt the Russian a little bit here?
But look at Jones, he just stealing the space. He's not getting overexcited, but he's not rushing his work. He's seeing he hurt him, he's staying nice and relaxed, just nicking the space with the front foot, keeping him under pressure before he throws any punches.
And just little range adjustments there, left hand down the middle again. Mamedov just keeping the gloves high and tight, but feeling the force of the shots now.
I think Eddie Hearn as well must be encouraged by this crop of fighters coming through here in Wales. They've got a good fan base, they're very good fighters, and say if Joe Cordina was to go and win the title this evening, you can really, really build a decent show around him.
Absolutely, of course, the last world champion, Lee Selby, held the IBF featherweight title between 2015 and 2018 before losing it to Josh Warrington, that brilliant night in Leeds. Not for the Welsh fans though, and it has been 4 years since Selby held that title. Could it be the night that Joe Cordina establishes himself as the 13th Welsh world champion? Counter shot from Jones, and down goes Vasyl Mamedov with a minute in the round. Well, beautifully timed shot, and how hurt is the Russian? Jones loading up with that left hand again.
I'll tell you what, he doesn't get hurt often, certainly doesn't get dropped that much, Mamedov, and this is really good stuff from Jones, really, really forcing the action now, letting his hands go head and body. The Russian grabbing hold, doing everything he can to survive, but really, really good stuff from the Welshman.
It wasn't just a shot from Jones, he took a little half a step back, didn't he, just to create that space for the shot. And because he gets fast hands and fast feet, Mamedov just can't see anything coming at all.
Now he's just starting to sit down on these singles and doubles. Stiff jab. Mamedov recovered well. 10 seconds in the round.
Well, you're given a platform to show yourself. You know, we've moaned and groaned in Wales about getting some big boxing back to them, and they've had their opportunities. 3 prospects so far, and they're outdoing each other, fight by fight.
Let's have a look at this shot. Yeah, like you say, Barry, took that little half a step back, give himself the range, got full leverage on the shot, turned the hips through with the shot, very accurate with that left hand. Look at that. I mean, it was a flash knockdown, but nonetheless, it was a beautifully well-timed left hand.
And because he's a southpaw, he already got his foot on the outside, so all he has to do is just, he doesn't even have to turn too much with the body, he just has to throw that left hand straight, because the guy's already squared it for him. But you can't do that unless you have the fast feet. But the movement, the reactions when the guy's coming forward, so you have to, you've got to be so quick with it.
Reminiscent of some of the brilliantly timed left-hand counters we've seen Hopey Price land and knock opponents down with late in contest. The prospect under Dave Goldwell's guidance in Sheffield. And a really good looking middleweight prospect here in Kieran Jones in full control as we head into round number 3. Mamedov just clips him with the left hook on the turn, bustles in with 2 or 3. Jones keeping the hands high and tight, and again just digging that left hand in behind the jab, stepping in with it now.
Just the foot movement's been very, very impressive. The way he's always positioned himself in the correct part of the ring. Takes a couple of steps back, won't go back in straight lines. Look, he just pivots off, back to the centre of the ring, always allowing space behind him. So when he is under danger, he can take the little step out, fire back the quick counters, back to the centre of the ring. Smart boxing.
And knowing where he is as well, because when he throws that double jab left hand from the southpaw stance, he takes a little step with the second punch, so when that left hand throws, it's a 6-inch punch past the head, and so he really gets the impact with it.
Yeah, second head punching, they call it, don't they? And
what they call it?
Second head punching. Imagine you're punching the head behind the head. I think it's a Gary Lockett phrase, yeah. And well, he is punching through his man when Mamedov overcommits, as he did in the last round. Mamedov just winging in with the right hand. But he is wary of what's coming back now. You can sense that in his body language as Jones just turns through a couple of stiff right and lefts.
Good work to the body.
And stepping around his man.
You see Mamedov now is a little frightened of letting his hands go, because every time he does, he gets countered. So he's just sort of seeing there, almost twitching and just not putting the shots out. He just gets countered. He just doesn't have that hand speed. He can't match Kieran Jones for that, so he's always second best. Good work again from Jones. Lovely combination.
And even those little shoulder turns there when the punch is coming back, he's just twisting and turning, and then with the second turn, he reduces the feet.
Yeah, not getting greedy, not getting carried away, or, you know, being too busy. Even though he's hurt Mamedov, he's been smart, he's been switched on, picking the shots well, good variation. And again, I've been so impressed with the footwork from Jones.
Mamedov trying to rally here, just working the left and right side of the body. Jones just taking a moment to gather himself, absorbing what the Russian has, holding his feet to centre ring.
But Mamedov, the punches have slowed down dramatically, so Jones can see them. So he's happy to stand in the pocket now and just see it and block it with the shoulders and the forehand.
Yeah, mate.
3 fights in 54 days, and after tonight, 4 in 91. About as busy a prospect as you'll find. Sky Nicholson, the Commonwealth Games champion from 2018, world bronze medalist, looking to go 4-0 as a professional tonight. Boxed in San Diego, Leeds, and of course that brilliant card at Madison Square Garden a few weeks ago on the Taylor Serrano undercard. Not a bad start to your pro career, is it, Darren?
I mean, yeah, she's had some great opportunities. She's living the dream, but I've been so impressed with Sky. I really, really have. She's such a good boxer. You talk about speed of hand and speed of foot. She has both in abundance. She really does. She'll be a tough woman to beat. She really will.
So I'm against former world champion from Maldonado in Uruguay, Gabriela Bouvier. Second on the live bill on the zone, starting at 7 o'clock, just under 50 minutes from now. Meanwhile, Kieran Jones in full control of Vasid Mammadov, who's been hesitant to take a backward step, but he's just slowly been ground down and forced backwards after a crisp knockdown in the second round. He's gathered himself, but he's up against it here. Holds on for a moment, just grabs himself a breather.
Clever there, wasn't it, from the referee says break. He didn't really take a step back, did he there, Jones?
No. Just fizz that lead right hand right under the elbow of the Russian, and he's a shorter, compact target. There isn't much to aim for under the elbows, but he found the gap. 1-2 around the back of it, and then just adjusting those feet, holding the distance and making life really difficult for Mammadov here.
He seems to always be in range and ready to take a shot. If Mammadov comes forward, he takes that half a yard out, and he's so quick with his hands and his reaction. He's always looking to throw the shot. You see that straight left again. It's such a lovely shot. He's got that foot on the outside. Really, really smart boxing. You see the concentration in the eyes of Jones as well. He's always looking for that pouring jab to come out so he can counter with that left. So switched on.
I think that's been important for him as well, you know, constantly relaxed. So when he does have to up the pace, it's no problem for him because he hasn't been pushing anything, pulling with the punches or trying too hard to hit the target with too much power. Everything's smooth, rhythmic with his work.
He's trying to step around Mammadov now, just put a little arc on the left hand, varying things up with a minute to go in the round, straight down the middle that time. Just variation with that. Southpaw left hand from Jones is in full flow here. Now just turning the screw. He knows the end is nigh here. Can he put another dent in Vasid Mammadov? He's been steadfast, taking some big shots throughout these last 3 or so rounds. He's still digging in, still working away, and credit to these Russian fighters tonight. They've put the Welsh home prospects through their paces and all have passed with flying colours here.
Yeah, tough as old boots. But again, been very impressed with Jones. He's shown us a bit of everything and showing us that he's a very tough man to beat. He uses the southpaw stance really, really well. He's not always on the outside. He'll creep inside with a front foot. He'll arc that jab right through the guard of his opponent. Very, very accurate with the rear hand. And like I say, again, the footwork, the movement has been very impressive.
He kept an opponent. He was never going to lose this fight. Let's be realistic. But Mammadov can makes it hard for you. And then you see Mammadov in some fights, he makes it hard and he pulls back because he knows his role. But he gave up Mammadov after the second round. He knew. Just like, it was too slow. Just the timing was wrong.
He was reluctant to throw shots.
He was, yeah. You know, and Jones did that. It wasn't Mammadov pulling back a little bit because, you know, he knows his role on the night. That was Jones just literally, he thought, if I take a risk here, I'm going to get knocked out.
Yeah, he just showed he was the boss from the start, and like you say, just put Mammadov in his shell. And though he doesn't have a winning record, Mammadov, he does let his hands go usually. He's tough, he likes to get on the front foot, but he just wasn't allowed. And that was down to, like you say, Barry, Kieran Jones just being the boss, dictating off that front foot, moving out of range. Just very, very accomplished performance.
Yeah, textbook controlled, aggressive performance from Gary Lockett's young charge. He is a centre in with his opponent Vasid Mammadov. David Diamante has the cards. Let's head over to him.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 4 rounds of action here in Cardiff, Wales, we go to referee Rhys Carter's scorecard. It reads 40-35 for your winner. He's still undefeated, Kieran Jones.
A pinpoint performance from Kieran Jones, who moves to 4-0. And completes a really good young trio of young male Welsh fighters on before the bell. Extended their winning records to 4-0. There he is with Gary Lockett. He'll be a proud man of his 2 charges, Ben Crocker and Kieran Jones. One more fight here on before the bell before we go live on DAZN. Plenty of action tonight and plenty of action to come on DAZN over the next few weeks.
Excellent technique.
Meet the future of boxing. Ryan Garcia.
Close fight, outstanding fight.
The fight starts now!
Well, some brilliant fights coming up over the next few weeks on DAZN, and some brilliant action we've got here tonight. Joe Cordina challenging for the IBF Super Featherweight World title live on DAZN. We'll be with you in 45 minutes. Right now, we're ready for the final contest on Before the Bell to hand you over to David Diamante.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Cardiff, Wales, we are set to go with a special super lightweight attraction set to make his ring walk from the Canary Islands. Please welcome Garataman Taylor.
Liberian-born Garataman Taylor, beautiful country on the west coast of Africa. He's got a record of 4-9, dealing with a few decent operators in the last 4 years since he's been professional, coming off 2 good wins over young undefeated prospects in Enrique Florentino and Brian Ramirez as well. He's in against a different kettle of fish in Callum French tonight. It's a little smaller and compacter of the two when they came together at the face-off after the weigh-in yesterday. This one was agreed at 139 pounds. Callum French was coming at 137. His ambition is eventually to box at lightweight for titles domestically and then on to what he hopes will be world level. How will this young southpaw fare against him in the ring tonight?
And now entering the arena, here is the promising young undefeated Geordie Frenchie, Callum French.
A two-time ABA champion, a double European medalist. Callum French had a long and patient wait to turn professional during the pandemic. He was on a 5-year, 35-bout unbeaten streak in the amateurs until he met the brilliant Yuri Shestak, a name that you will absolutely come to know in the years to follow. And he was the victim of circumstance when AIBA amalgamated the two-weight divisions a couple of years ago. He had the potential to have been an Olympian and maybe even a medalist had it not been for that. But he has turned over as a pro and he has looked good in this early stage of his apprenticeship. He is 2-0. He was his coach, Graham Rutherford, from the famous Burtley Boxing Factory in the north of England.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the Motor Point Arena here in Cardiff, Wales, live on DAZN, we are set to go with a special super lightweight attraction. It's all being brought to you courtesy of Mr. Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing. We're sponsored by Betfred and JD Sports. Introducing your third man in the ring at the sound of the bell, scoring referee from Swansea, Chris Jones. And now, ladies and gentlemen, 8 rounds of boxing scheduled in the super lightweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner, wearing the blue trunks with the white trim. He scaled 9 stone, 11 pounds, 13 ounces. His professional record, 4 wins, 9 defeats, 1 draw. Presentando de Las Palmas de Gran Canarias, España, la Mamba Negra, Garataman Taylor. And his opponent across the ring fighting out of the blue corner. He wears the black with white and silver trim. He's scaled at already 9 stone, 11 pounds, 7 ounces. His young professional record thus far perfect. 2 fights, 2 victories, one of them coming by way of knockout. He fights out of Gateshead, Tyne and Ware. Here is a Team GB amateur standout and the 2019 European bronze medalist, Frenchie Callum French. French.
Okay, obey my word of command at all times. Defend yourself at all times. Keep all your punches above the waist. Any questions, red? Any questions, blue? Touch gloves. Good luck, boys.
So a first 8-rounder for a talented amateur fighter turned professional, Callum French from the northeast.
Seconds out, round 1.
Two left-handers here. Got a Taman Taylor in the blue trunks. Takes a stiff jab early. And, well, Callum French, a hallmark of his first couple of pro fights, Darren, is he gets straight to work, sets a high work rate, and he maintains a high work rate too.
Yeah, he does. He's a very polished boxer, French, but he likes to get stuck in. I love that bit of natural aggression that he has, and Taylor's going to have to be at his best here to have any chance of... I mean, look, he won't win this contest, I wouldn't have thought, but to survive, I've been very impressed with French. He's shown us a bit of everything already in just 2 fights. He's a good mover, very, very intelligent, ring IQ, always thinking, always looking for that counter. And like I say, he's got that bit of spite in his aggression.
It's a lovely body shot there, isn't it? And he's too far out to throw it, really.
And in early on this year, helping Conor Benn in his preparations for the Chris Van Heerden fight. And he is part of that brilliant Berkeley stable. The McCormack twins have come out of there. Anna Robinson originally from there too. His good friend Cyrus Patterson, a lefty. Likewise, Mark Dickinson, who's making good headway under Ben Davison's guidance.
We're just looking at this now. You'll be happy, French, that Taylor is not looking to move. He's looking to stand right in front of French to make it easier.
There's very little head movement at all from
stood right in
blue.
And again, French, he barely moves out of the distance, French, but he does take that like quarter step back, doesn't he? So even if you land, it just reduces the power, and he fires back straight away.
Good work.
He just doesn't give you a break, does he,
No.
French?
When he's not punching as well, that non-punching activity, he's always feinting, he's always shuffling forward on the front foot, always keeping you thinking. It's so mentally draining. It's just a constant pace, constant pressure all the time, always poking the shots out.
Taylor's never been stopped and never really looked like being hurt from the footage that we've seen of him. He's taken a fair few clean in his first 2.5 minutes of round number 1.
Yeah, and to be fair, he hasn't looked hurt here. He's taken some flush shots, hasn't he? But he's taken them well. That's a good right hook there from Taylor.
Starting to set his feet, try and find his range here, Taylor. Callum French, though, has had by far the majority of the exchanges through these first 3 minutes.
Doesn't look phased at all, Taylor, but he was breathing heavy as he walked back to the corner because he was under pressure from the start of that first round from French. He was on the front foot, he was poking out the shots, head and body, landed some good lefts over the top. But he took them, Taylor, never looked hurt, like you said, Barry, always in there, but he's going to struggle. He's got to try and somehow fire back with something, but the reactions and the speed of foot from French makes that very difficult.
Well, it's the intensity, isn't it? There's just no break for Taylor. No, he might be able to take the power, but then when you have no breathing space, you can't be engaged. You always have to react all the time, and reacting, it takes more out of you than forcing the pace, isn't it? So we'll see how he goes with that.
Seconds out, round 2.
Scheduled for 8, as I mentioned, for the first time this French. It'll be interesting to see as the rounds do progress, not just tonight, but in general, as he goes to 10 and perhaps to 12, whether he does adjust this work rate, or this is just the kind of fighter that we're going to see.
This is good intent from Taylor, really pushing forward on that front foot. He's loading up with the shots, but showing desire, showing us that will to win. Keeping French thinking, who lands a lovely 1-2 straight down the middle.
But he needs more head movement, doesn't he, Taylor? He's trying to sit back on the back foot every now and again here, Taylor, but French has got his distance, and there's no escape for him. The only way he has to do it is, like you say, he's coming forward, but get your chest over the front knee a little bit and get a pendulum moment with the head. Keep moving that head. Make French look for the target.
Just dropped his head off the line there and landed a nice right hook to the body, Taylor. French responds in kind, though, and they just come together. Lovely left hand.
Stay back on the body as well, through the elbows. Through the elbows. Keep his head away.
I tell you what he has, French, is really good timing, because his hands are not slow, but they're not super fast, but he just always hits the target, doesn't he? Every time.
Yeah, it doesn't waste much,
no.
French. Good variation, tapping with the uppercuts and dropping to the body. Smart boxing from French, being forced back now by Taylor. Like you say, Barry, not moving his head at all, just looking to mix fire with fire, but just doesn't have the speed of shot to land anything of note yet. Good little short uppercut went in for French.
It's lovely work from French. He's better when he's moving than he is piling forward. Oh, it's really good work.
Yeah, really so can't miss with that 1-2, can he?
He slips on the outside there as well, took his head off centre line and just sneaky little left uppercut. Lands a left to the body there as well, and another one. Good work, good variation.
Just took the step and a pivot, wasn't it? Step, pivot, and throw the uppercut.
He hasn't been able to put a dent in the man in front of him, no matter how cleanly he's landed so far. I knew Taylor was tough and well conditioned when he came in. 20 seconds on the clock in round number 2. Again, Taylor just swing and a miss. And French just dropped underneath it, back on that 1-2. Just catching a few in the fray here as well.
The thing is, when you're in an aggressive fight, you're going to have to take shots, but I think French can just box on the move. Just, if not more efficiently, I feel.
Well, if he can sustain this kind of work rate, then he really is well conditioned for the 8 rounds. You'd suspect at some point he may have to just step on, box and move and conserve his energy.
You might think so, but when you're dictating the pace, you don't have to. If you train at this pace and you're bossing the pace, then you can box like this for 15 rounds, 20, 30 rounds. It just keep going on. It's only when someone forces you to fight at the pace you don't want to be, and that's where great fighters slow you down sometimes.
Oh, you're boxing well. Boxing well. Not know where you're boxing. Just a bit too fucking eager. Right, touch, moving that way. Right, backhand. In and out with the feet. Right, backhand down there, hook there. Right, right on that side.
Orders, 10 seconds.
Tight little handles, don't pivot. Too clever for this kid.
Oh, I've been asked to apologise for the language. I'm sure those of you watching this aren't squeamish, but there we are. Graham Rutherford, he's a passionate man, a scary man as well, but he knows his boxing.
You know what I know? They produce so many good fighters, because if you don't do what you're told, you've got to go back to that.
But sound instructions.
It's
I mean,
brilliant stuff,
Callum
isn't it?
French can make this as easy as he wants, but that's what I like about French, though. He does have that bit of fire. He does like to get stuck in, but, you know, for Graham in the corner there, he'll be watching it thinking, you know, look, he can be making this a lot easier. To get behind the jab, like you say, very accomplished on the back foot, Barry.
Yeah, he's just as good, if not better, isn't he, really? But like I'm saying about the pace, if you're dictating the pace, you'll find that you get fighters who train at really high intensity, and if a good fighter can slow them down, they're knackered.
Rutherford asking for the uppercut off the body shot, so well, he obliges perfectly there, Callum French, and that's a student listening to his teacher. And again, he obliges.
Oh, it's lovely head movement there as well. That's a body movement there from French.
Calling for adjustments, and Callum French is obliged to just step around there, lands to the left of the body, and again. Really in the flow here.
Yeah, he really is in the flow, Chris, you're right. And the movement, look, he's just moving around the middle of the ring, the pivots, like you said, Barry, very smart moving. Look, moves round, straight back in the centre of the ring, behind that jab. Very, very good.
Look at that, that's fantastic move there. Bobbing left, bobbing right, then spinning around the target. Then in the next minute, he's behind Taylor, and Taylor don't know where he is. And there's no panic on Taylor because he's not getting hurt. It was good work, goal from Taylor, wasn't it?
Landed 2 or 3. French on the turn, and the hands were a little low.
Great uppercut there, wasn't it, from French?
What's all action this through 3 rounds? We've got 5 more scheduled.
Yeah, showing us a bit of everything. Very good on the front foot. We've seen at times when he stayed in the pocket, the shimmies to the left, to the right, really shortens up the uppercuts. Makes it very hard for Taylor to see the shots coming. And he listens as well. We've seen that with Graham shouting in the corner. You know, he's heard the instructions and he's executed them. So that shows you the intelligence of the man.
Taylor's trying to force it. Taylor's trying to take control of the pace now, isn't he? He's trying to force it a little bit because the footwork of French just a little bit too good, not having maybe the desired effect.
He's having a go, Taylor. He really is trying to close that gap every time he gets the opportunity or he's in space. He lets his hands go.
Well, not a moment to breathe, but either fighter in this contest through 3 rounds. Callum French doing what he does, letting the hands go, and well, he heeded the instructions that were being shouted from Graham Rutherford. Now he just to work the body, then come up the middle with that uppercut.
And move around the target more. That's what you say when you got to switch around the body and get different angles, and then that's exactly what they see there. Perfect example, perfect timing. It's exactly what he's doing. He's landing the shots, and we've said this earlier on in the night, haven't we? It's what you do after the punch is almost as important as the punches itself. And he's throwing, changing the angle, and either going again or escaping. And I think that's but if you've got a guy like that in the corner telling you what to do, you sort of do it, don't you?
You do.
Yeah, you listen.
You absolutely do. But good to see he is heeding the instructions of Graham Rutherford.
But he's shouting, but he's calm in the corner, and it's like you said, it's precise and easily understandable instructions what you need to do.
So into the 4th of 8 we go. Our final contest here on Before the Bell, before we go live on Dazn at 7 o'clock local time here in Cardiff. Maria fight, Sky Nicholson, Dalton Smith, Zelfa Barrett and Farouk Kubalov, and Joe Cordina will challenge Kenichi Ogawa for the IBF super featherweight world title. Attempt to become the 13th Welsh fighter to win a world title. And right here, Callum French is in a good scrap. There's Taylor punching with him.
I mean, we mentioned it earlier, didn't we, with both of the Russians earlier on in the show, how good of opponents they are. And Taylor is exactly that for French. He's here to win. He's not looking to lose. He's letting his hands go. He's trying to be aggressive on that front foot. And that makes Callum French think. You're not going to have things your own way all the time. And
Good shot. But you see the best of a fighter then, don't you? You know, when a guy comes to win, because there's gaps where you can exploit, and also you have to concentrate. The difference here is just the variety of the work, isn't it, from French? You see it there, beautiful.
Work it out, work it out.
Just trying to control the head of Taylor with the lead hand. Steps around him again, back to centre ring. Uppercut with the rear hand. Lovely work from Callum French. Taylor misses with the right hand. And the Gertie fighter steps on him, just catches a right hook a little tall there. Taylor still firing back with him.
He's calling for that body shot. again, followed by the uppercut, Graham, and that is the sound advice. Look, Taylor's smaller than French, and when you get that body shot in properly, the knees will dip, but it makes it easier to land that uppercut. So, again, sound instruction, but this is good foot pressure from French, forcing Taylor back. Good variation, always keeping the Spaniards thinking.
It's the pace that's affecting Taylor right now. I don't think any of the weights of the shots having a massive effect. The pace, the end,
has not dropped, has it?
No, not at all. But I think that's having more of an effect on Taylor because French still looking strong and Taylor those punches now just starting to knock the head back a bit more than he used to.
It's a big deep breaths as well from Taylor. French really going through the gears now.
Look at this from Taylor. Just keep matching these two on undercards of every show, I would.
Wish we had punch stats for this, we haven't, but...
No, you don't.
Busy fight, plenty of action through those 4 rounds. We hit the halfway point of this contest, and French is doing everything after him. And he's not really hurt Taylor with any one particular shot. The cumulative volume must be starting to take its toll, mustn't it?
Yeah, the constant pace, and we see Taylor there taking some big deep breaths, but it's been the movement, the variation that's been so impressive.
The cool, calm demeanour of Sky Nicholson, who will be second on the bill tonight in the first 8-rounder of her career against the former world champion from Uruguay, Gabriela Bouvier.
Seconds out, round 5.
Starting to see a few more feints as well from Callum French. We've already noted that Taylor's looking to exchange every time French throws, so try and draw out that lead, and the guy like French with a superior foot and hand speed should land those counters.
You've got to give Taylor his credit, because I thought just the intensity of French, I thought by now it would have told on Taylor. But he's still looking strong and he's still looking to fire back. And it's Taylor who's, for most of it, has dictated all the pace, all the exchanges. Lovely.
Lay back, left hand counter, doubled it up the second time. Taylor just trying to stiff arm him, but French is matching him for physicality, pushing him back and holding centre ring. Left hand behind that again, can't miss with it.
That long left hand of French is a real correct shot, but I think there's more in it. There's more turn in it to get a bit more power, I feel.
Yeah, I think, when you come through the amateur ranks, you sort of pull your shots a little bit, don't you? You don't put everything into it. I think as he progresses and matures a little bit more and has more fights, you'll start seeing that really turn.
Put a shoulder into it.
Yeah, turn on the shot. But I mean, there's an awful lot to work with. Very good fight, the variation. We've already touched on it, the pace, what he fights at, that natural aggression.
Well, it's not just the intensity and the pressure. He'll break your heart. Because his ability, the skill, his accuracy and his work. Except he won't break Taylor's heart. I think we've established that by now.
Break, step back, Corbin.
Shot. The head movement there from Callum French as Taylor was letting his hands go. Just boxing around him in a circle now, just levering some space with the forearm, re-establishes the range behind the jab. Taylor just lands the right hand to the body, countered again by French, and his head movement off the line after he throws, keeping responsible and making sure he's in charge here as we took over the last 30 seconds of round number 5.
It's such a busy round again, hasn't it? But again, another round for me, for the majority of the part, is French dictating everything, landing with the better shots, and Taylor trying to walk forward, but not getting enough success again. Great to watch, though.
looking tricky as he goes up the levels here, Darren. Callum French, obviously not a one-punch knockout artist. That's evident. The 135-pound division will probably suit him in terms of size and physicality. He can impose himself a little more on the fighters there. 140, it could be more difficult for him as the levels go up, couldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. You talk about not being a one-punch knockout artist. Well, you look at someone like Josh Warrington, who is extremely busy with his work rate, and he's a very tough man to beat. And I think that's the kind of fighter that French will be. Busy. You can see here, he's got every shot in his artillery. He really has good body shots, good head shots. He's got the uppercuts, he's got the IQ, he slips off. He's always thinking about what's coming back after he's thrown. He'll be a tough man to beat.
And also, when he's into 10 or 12 rounders, if he can fight at his intensity, he doesn't need that one-punch power, because their energy will drain. They won't be as physically strong as Taylor. They might be better boxers, but not physically strong. And then those are punches that didn't hurt have a massive effect.
Exactly like Josh Warrington, just busy.
And also, as you develop as good shots. Hurt Taylor, that.
I think I know what you were going to say there. Josh Warrington kind of got stronger and more physical as his career went on.
Yeah, and he slowed down, didn't he? He started to put a little bit more thought in the shots.
Very much still in the transition process here, Callum French, but he's been an exciting fighter to watch so far into the 6th round. Taylor, credit to him, still kept firing back. Lands a nice uppercut with the rear hand, then just lifted the chin of the Berkeley fighter. And has he just got a little second wind here? Just a little spring in his step. Firing back now, just trying to step into range and put some pressure on. Callum French, who just underhooks him, pushes him back to the ropes.
Just needed a little bit of a pivot around the corner there, didn't he?
Sort of see it's, I'm not sure if it's in Callum French's head, but he doesn't want to show any sign of weakness. Where he started the first round at a very high pace, he doesn't want to take his foot off the gas now and give someone like Taylor that sort of belief that he's tiring.
Yeah, you don't necessarily give yourself anywhere to go when you start in gear number 5, do you? And as you mentioned, Taylor has been steadfast no matter how much he's taken, how many shots French has landed. He's been there, he's pressed forward. And he is pressing forward now, and it's just the work rate just starting to drop from Callum French. He fires back again, and they close up the centre ring. Nice body shot again. The away fighter, double hook upstairs as well, then the left hand behind it. Best moments of the round, but also the fight for Taylor so far.
Good work from Taylor. Really planting his feet and putting everything into the shots. Good response from French, who, in my opinion, should be busy with the single shots now. Don't get sloppy, letting 2s and 3s and 4s go. As you start tiring and the pace of the shot slows down slightly, you can get caught as he does there.
And again, there's 2 big shots that he got caught with. They're French.
Taylor swinging for the hills.
And for the first time, French, even though I still think he's done enough to win the round for me, I think for the first time, he's looking tired.
Yeah.
Well, that was a question that I asked you guys at the beginning of the contest. At the 8-round distance, is this going to start to get tough as he adjusts through the 8 and the 10 rounds? At this kind of pace, with an opponent that can absorb and that's got good conditioning and can fire with him, can he maintain this pace through 8 rounds?
And as you get tired, the defence does start to open up a little bit. And we see it there at the end of that round. Taylor landed about 4 or 5 unanswered shots.
And psychologically, well, he's gone back to the corner full of beans now, Taylor. For the first time, let's be honest, there's been French, even though he's been working hard, he's going to go back to the corner feeling positive, and I've had a good round there, and let's get on the next one. But this time now, his role's reversed.
Yeah, just some gaps starting to appear in the defence of French. Didn't move his feet as much there, and as the round started coming to a close, Taylor really growing in confidence.
effects of an attritional, high-paced contest etched on the faces of both men as we enter the 7th round. Gaetano and Taylor, just for the first time in that 6th round, maybe just sensed a little slowdown from the Berkeley fighter, Cannon French, and the gum shield comes out, and well, the referee didn't say stop boxing, and French has let the hands go again. Have to fight till the referee says not to.
Let's go, let's go!
French got a free shot there.
Let's go!
Nothing wrong with that, though.
Defending himself all times, but you can see a real intent, can't you, from Taylor at the start of this 7th round. Real desire, pushing forward on that front foot. I think he has sensed that French may be tiring.
It looks to me, though, this is an opponent where they've seen the record and haven't really looked at the kid. You've seen his record and thought, oh, I know he's got enough losses here, that French will do a job on him. But actually, it's been a... Even though he's winning the fight, I think they'll go quite widely, but it's been a really good apprenticeship fight for him, hasn't it? Really good learning fight.
I think use your skill now, use your boxing brain, get behind the jab. Make life simple for yourself now, no need to trade with Taylor. Just win these last 2 rounds.
Maybe the lesson from this will be for Cannon French just to learn to adjust that pace as the distance creeps up over the 8 and the 10. There's no doubt he'll be boxing for an English title later on this year.
Well, French is one of those things, what you can do and what you want to do. So he technically can dance around and skip through fights quite comfortable, can't he? But you can see he doesn't want to. He don't want to do that. What do you want to do that for? I want to get involved.
Into 1-2. Well, Graham Rutherford, I'm sure you would have caught that on the sets at home as well, just screaming for him to box and just keeping these long out, landing the 1-2, stepping around Taylor, just trying to get his 2nd win now after putting a lot into these first 6.5 rounds. He's really been made to work for this. It's Taylor again, just trying to steal his space, keep on him, make him work when he wants to rest.
Taylor's got to be dipping down and throwing that left hand over the top every time now, I would. Just do that.
He's trying to hit anything he can at the moment. Taylor, every time French steps off, he just steps to him.
That's where he gets caught sometimes, isn't it, French? He makes you miss with 2, then tries to make you miss with 4. After those sets, he makes you miss with 2, fire back or move.
But one thing's for sure, you cannot buy this experience. This is invaluable. You'll learn so much from these rounds with Taylor.
There was a moment at the beginning of that round where the gum shield flew out of Taylor. There it is. The referee didn't call break, and well, Cannon French stepped in behind the 1-2. Then he protested, and they carried on. Let's listen in to Graham Rutherford.
Does no man come forward? Right? He fucking moves! He needs this! Fucking come on! This is what I'm fucking telling you! Stay south! Hit it out, 1 feet! And you bang out! Come chill. Don't give him no fucking confidence. Right, come on.
8th and final round.
Well, the expletives of a passionate man in Graham Rutherford reading the riot act to his fighter, who he knows is having to dig really deep here after a very, very positive start. And there'll be a number of lessons to be learned from this if Cannon French gets to the end of the 8th round and has his hand raised, because he's clearing away on the scorecards here, but the momentum of the fight just senses not been completely stolen away from him. But Taylor really has dug his heels in these last couple of rounds when he sensed the fade from the Geordie fighter, and he's made a real scrap of it here.
Oh, he has. He's played his part in this, that's for sure. He's found his range with that left hand, and this final round, Callum French early on. Landed some lovely left hands, starting with a nice wide right hook and firing straight down the middle with that left. He's holding his feet a little bit too much now. Needs to get behind the jab, move the feet, make this easy. You're never going to stop Taylor now. Just be smart. Don't take anything silly. Don't hold your feet.
I keep checking French's record and thinking he got to be like 8-0, 9-0, because you wouldn't put him in with this guy on his third fight. I mean, he's coming through it, but I mean, it's turned into such a tough little scrap, hasn't it? And such a fantastic learning fight, as you already said. You can't buy this experience, can you?
Right, credit to Taylor, because Leicester opposition may have folded under the kind of pressure that he's applied and the work rate that he has sustained himself under. A great deal of high work rate fire from Callum French early. Just steps off, tries to hold that gap, heeding the instructions of Graham Rutherford to box and to dig deep in this last minute and 20.
It's good pressure on the front foot from Taylor, but his work rate's dipped as well. You can understand why. He's tried to match French early on, that's for sure. He was mixing fire with fire, really loading up with a shot, so you can understand why Taylor's feeling the pace also.
There's a sharp body shot in there from Taylor. French just curl over for a moment, but he again just steps around him, gives himself the space and the time.
It's been a really good watch, hasn't it? Really
excellent. In his last couple of rounds, one man trying to buy himself some space, the other trying to steal it. Who can win the battle of wills? It's been high pressure, high work rate, attritional stuff from both fighters, and credit to them. 30 seconds on the clock, and it will feel like a long, long time in there for Callum French. Just digging in now, right hook, doubles it up, onto the body off the head shot, now putting the hands together upstairs, left just pushes Taylor back, onto the ropes, Taylor fires with him. Great action, catches French a little tall there, with his hands down, and they're both digging in, trading blows. At the end of the 8th round, what a brilliant contest to finish our action here on Before the Bell. Barry Jones applauding to the left of me. Darren Barker, what can you say about that?
That was brilliant. That was brilliant action at the end there, and yeah, valuable rounds for Callum French. It really was. You'd have learned an awful lot there. You can't have things your own way. You can start a fight as quick as you like, but sometimes you're going to be in there with guys that are as tough as Taylor, and they can soak it all up. They'll keep coming. They'll keep throwing shots back, and he was physically very strong. Didn't look like he was the biggest puncher, Taylor, but physically he was solid, and he tried to push French back at the end there, and credit to French showing us some real will to win and some guts. Trading with Taylor, he was firing back with big shots, but that was tremendous stuff.
Well, they finished the fight like it was in the balance.
Yeah.
It was like they needed that last 30 seconds to win it. It was like the end of a title fight, wasn't it? Everything to play for on his last 30 seconds.
Like a York or
Southern area,
yeah.
That was fantastic. That was just a lovely watch, and for only his third fight, that leapfrogs him there. That leapfrogs this young man now levels above where he should be after a fight like that.
And he will want that too, domestically at least, because he had a very storied amateur career but had to be patient in turning professional. He wants to get a move on, and that will have done him the world of good tonight. David Diamante standing by with the scorecards. Let's head to him.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 8 rounds here in Cardiff, we go to referee Chris Jones' scorecard. It reads 79-73 for your winner. He's still undefeated, Frenchie Callum French.
So a wide victory on the scorecards for Callum French, but the story of the fight played out very differently. He had to work really, really hard, and he will sleep well tonight. Credit to Gadataman Taylor for playing his part in a brilliant 8-rounder to finish, and absolutely superb Before the Bell segment here. Wins for Ben Crocker, Joe Morgan, Kieran Jones and Callum French himself, and we are now just 6 minutes away from going live on Dazn as Callum French celebrates with Graham Rutherford and the Berkeley team, and he will look to his friend Joe Cordina. Can he become the 13th champion in Welsh boxing history? He faces Kenichi Ogawa in our main event live on Dazn tonight.
Lauren, Sophia, Valentina, and little Jojo. Sorry I've been away again for so long. 12, 13 weeks of hard graft and being away from you. It's quite hard to think that I'm missing girls' birthdays, first words, but one day you'll understand it's all for you. And when I'm back, ignore the cuts, ignore the bruises, because I'll be a champion of the world. But even better than that, I'll be back home with you, people I love. But for now, do as your mother says, and I'll be back home soon. Love, Dad.